Monster MD took everything I didn't want to see in a comic book and made it awesome. Hey everyone, Ye Jiao back again. Today we're talking about Monster MD, another long-running campaign. I think maybe 2018 or early 2019. Just fulfilled, also just passed $100,000 in sales, and it shows. Now with this, you get this really thick book. This is like the Nicki Minaj of comic graphic novels. In addition to this, we have Shinobi Sasquatch versus Monster MD, which is cool because Shinobi Sasquatch is another book that hasn't come fulfilled yet. Hopefully it'll be out soon. So this is our first view of what the Sasquatch is like. Now the book itself actually has two stories. It's got the main story, which was expanded several times for the better, in my opinion. And then we also have some pinups, mostly of Heidi, because, I mean, why wouldn't you want pinups of that? You also have some commissions here. We've got Rob Willis, which is the cover for the Shinobi Sasquatch Monster MD. Matt Weldon, which is interesting to see him do this cover. And we even have the author, von Klaus. And there's the origin of Heidi's story. How did she become an invisible lady? All right, Monster MD itself. Like I said, it has everything I didn't want in a comic, but made it awesome. And what I mean by that is a few things. First of all, the topic is monsters, which I was quite disappointed when Comicsgate started. Everybody just started doing monster stuff. Zach had the giant gorilla. John Malin's doing his night shift, a vampire, or this or that. And it just got to the point where it's like, man, can't anybody think of an original villain? That having been said, the story is great. In addition, I was not super enthused about the art. It's like a quasi-manga style, which I'm not as into. Not that it looked like it was poorly done or anything, but it's just not something that normally appeals to me. That being said, the book is freaking amazing. Von Klaus was posting pages up on Instagram, and I think he was showing them off on various streams. And what happened was you got to see the story progress, but without the words. And as I was going through like 10 pages of this stuff, I noticed, holy crap, I can absolutely understand this story without needing words. The words are just extra flavor. That is amazing. And the third is, it's probably going to be hard to see on camera here, but a lot of this coloring, the colorist used a lot of texture in here, which normally does not look very good in my opinion. It's a more modern technique, but a lot of times it just makes it look dirty. I don't know if the original intent was just to provide more textures because flat colors were too flat, or if it was more an issue of trying to replicate the look of the original newsprint. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. We can see that the colors themselves are generally kind of flat, just one color next to another. Here we have like a medium flesh tone, we have a highlight, and then we have a darker one for the shadow. So these, in my opinion, generally work better. Thank God there's not a whole lot of gradients in here. Let's go through it. So von Klaus and of course Eric Weathers, who I believe they're like BFFs. They've got some kind of bromance going on. The art, Marco McCagney. After reading this, I am probably going to pick up whatever Marco does, even if I'm not super into it, just because the layouts are so good. If I were still teaching design classes, this book would be in my required reading. In fact, I would probably hound von Klaus to give me a copy that didn't have any words on it. Colors by Tanya Wicker. Again, you know, you have stuff like this in the moon. Let's see if we can see it a little better here. You have like this, and it's textured. This could very easily just look dirty, but it doesn't come out that way. So Ace is Titania, and this is the difference between someone who's really top skilled at what they do versus someone who's just copying a trend. She seems to have an intimate knowledge of how to do this quite well. So, letters by the ever-present Eric Weathers. It's a shock when we don't see his name on there. Edited by Brandon Crowther. Don't know anything about him. Don't know Uncle Steve. Maybe that's Von Klaus's actual Uncle Steve. And then a whole list of people to be thanked. Let's get into it. So this is a story basically about a man who is a doctor for monsters. Werewolves, vampires, mummy people, ghouls, whatever. And he's not super into his job. He has a replacement arm, which I don't want to get too much into it. He had a traumatic incident. It does happen in this book, so you'll see it, where he loses his arm and he gets this arm from a corpse as a replacement. So it is quite interesting. And as we find out, it's not just an arm. He has a van, which I can't tell if it's supposed to be an actual ambulance or more like a converted ice cream truck or something. But he goes around the countryside, around some area where he's fixing up different creatures. So we have a werewolf here. He got shot by a bunch of bullets. Wyatt, who is the doctor's name, he's got to take it out. Wyatt has this assistant, who we will get to here, who is invisible. And her name is Heidi. She has some issue, but she clearly seems to like Wyatt. Wyatt himself is getting really tired of being in the monster fixer-upper game. And he kind of goes around sort of fixing problems or maybe putting down monsters. A little bit of a Ghostbuster, a little bit of Van Helsing in there. It's kind of hard to say exactly, but one of the things I really love the most about this book is there are a ton of characters who show up. Let me see if we can get... we can see a montage of him fixing everybody up. And the best thing is the writing in some ways is very Claremontian. And what I mean by that is everybody who's in this has a distinct voice. If I just read a text bubble, a random text bubble that has a few words here. So we have this guy Skids. He's a vampire. He's trying to get free blood pellets so he doesn't have to feed on people. And his line here, free shit, now I compel thee. Trying to use the vampire Jedi mind trick. He sounds very different from the other characters. And it's really nice to see, similar in ways that Claremont did his X-Men back in the day. Eventually, Wyatt comes on his largest fear in the world, and he's out. He's gonna say, forget it, until he finds out Heidi's missing. And he does love the invisible Miss Heidi. So he decides, okay, yeah, I gotta go after her. And that brings us, near the climax of the story. So there is a bit of blood, there is a bit of gore, but it's not gore for gore's sake. It's not blood for blood's sake. It works. And this book pretty well straddles the horror comedy. If you know films, most films do not do that. It's got to be one or the other. But this is a lot closer in tone to like maybe an Evil Dead 2 or 3, where it does pretty well. Probably two. And then you have Heidi still. So, Monster MD, definite big thumbs up. It's still available on Indiegogo. I highly recommend going to buy this and getting this while it's up. Is there going to be another one? I don't know. I'd love to have Von Klaus on the channel to ask him, but we'll see. So, Monster MD, great art, Great story, great coloring. Everything just is firing on all cylinders. Highly recommended. Thumbs up for me. What about this video? Can it get a thumbs up from you? I sure hope so. Click the like button, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with more reviews. Common America 2 and 3 coming up soon.